Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching A Healthy Alternative. Today, we're going to be talking about fasting versus anorexia.
We're missing a piece of the puzzle. You start getting healthy and you just become a better person. We need to start focusing more on the individual.
All right, so I actually was requested to do this video because I did a video talking about starvation and fasting and how they kind of are different. Because there's a lot of misconception when it comes to starvation and anorexia and bulimia and fasting. So it's a good idea to kind of clear the air a little bit. Number one, fasting is distinctively different from anorexia just because with fasting, it is a choice. You go into it mentally prepared not to eat for a period of time. Whereas with anorexia, it is your inability to eat and it is more related to a mental state, right? So it's a poor mental state versus fasting where you actually go in with a proper mental state or a healthy mental state, even though both of them kind of conclude with you not eating or in some way. They're two completely different paths that you get there. Now, I think a lot of times people will compare fasting or fasters to being anorexic when they seem really slim and trim. All right, so take me for example. I think I'm a great example of this, right? When I very first started fasting, I was like 230 pounds, 35 pounds, something like that. And fasting was I never started fasting thinking, oh, I weigh too much, I want to get a little bit smaller. I actually started fasting for the sole purpose of becoming a healthier individual, which is why you should be fasting. If you're fasting purely for weight loss, that's fine, but keep in mind that there's limitations to the success that you will get if you fast purely for weight loss. Fasting is so much more than that. Side note, right? So anyway, um, and then I got to a point where, I had lost about 70 pounds or so, and I started to feel too small. Now, that's basically because of my conditioning as an American, right? So I live in a place of where, more than half the people are obese. Where I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're the most obese country in the world. So, with that being said, our perspective on body type and physique is all skewed. It's all ruined. Now, so in the rest of the world, maybe I wouldn't have been viewed as small. I probably still would have been viewed as a pretty sizable person, but here in America, not at all. And then, of course, you're getting a lot of comments from people. You're saying, "Oh, you're too small. You need to stop." Da 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 da. And even with all that being said, even I was a little uncomfortable at that weight. If I'm just keeping it real, so why did I continue fasting beyond that, right? Why did I keep pushing it if I was already too small? Well, because as I mentioned earlier, fasting for me never had anything to do with weight. The me being too small was literally just like an obstruction. It was just like a hindrance to me achieving my goal, which is overall wellness. Now, keeping in mind that fasting has so many benefits. So if we just remove the weight loss and your size from the equation, we've seen people heal congestive heart failure. We've seen people get rid of fibroids. We've seen women who's been told that they were infertile be able to have a baby. I mean, we've seen people with cancer reverse it, diabetes reverse it. The list goes on and on and on. Weight loss is literally, in my mind, the icing on the cake. Although it's kind of like the spotlight attraction, it's really kind of small in the big scheme of things. I mean, we could use fasting to genuinely restore our wellness and get healthy overall. Now, as it relates to anorexia, I'm not telling you that if you're anorexic that you should be fasting, because that would be very irresponsible of me. As I mentioned earlier, fasting it's about the mental state. So you could actually fast with an improper mental state and cause yourself harm fasting. So as it, like I mentioned in my starvation video, Usually when you're being starved, it's not intentional. It's something that's being done to you, or it's out of your control. When you fast, it's actually something that you're planning to do, is something that you want to do, and you understand why you're doing it. And also, you know where your next meal is coming from. It's not like you can't have it. So that plays a big difference in it. But if you are dealing with bulimia or anorexia or something, any type of eating disorder, what you want to do is for the time being stay away from fasting until you get that under control. Now, one of the ways that you can actually get that under control before you start fasting is to adopt a truly healthy diet, right? So we're not talking about the standard American nutritional healthy diet. Okay, that's crap. It doesn't work, hasn't worked. It's gotten worse. It's gotten progressively worse over time. You want to be eating high water content foods. That should be the base for your diet. Obviously, I'm a fan of high water content fruits. Now, you can eat high water content vegetables as well, but if you have that as the base of your diet, you're going to be getting structured water. Structured water is going to help get in the body and help clean out the cells, because when you're dealing with anorexia and bulimia, believe it or not, we're talking about chemical imbalances or hormonal imbalances in the body. See, all of our emotions and things like that are all attached to chemicals in the body. We're chemistry, and when that stuff is out of whack, we develop these issues. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like when it comes to how we go about dealing with people with mental disorders is all wrong, and why I think the numbers show most people that go to your traditional doctor for mental issues, they get put on medication or something like that. It doesn't really work. Even talking it out, although I am an advocate of it, has little effect sometimes, right? Sometimes it works. Sometimes it definitely works. Don't get me wrong. But I'm always looking for the best options. So if we attack this thing from all angles, and we deal with the physical manifestations in your body that are actually causing some of these imbalances, I think we'll see a lot better progress when we're dealing with mental disorders. So eat the high water content foods. Make sure that you're drinking your sun water. Energize your water. You drink the right type of water. That's just going to help give you deeper hydration. Do that for a while. Get that under control. Once you have your actual eating disorder under control, the mental state, now that you're beyond that, now you can start doing some long-term fasting. But keep in mind that by doing these things, changing your diet, drinking the water, you are going to see your wellness progress. It's not like it's a waste of time, or you know what I mean? Like, you are going to still be able to get massive results. You just need to be consistent. That's really the goal with all of this. Just be consistent. Now, in addition to the dietary changes, drinking the proper water, I also highly recommend the liver and gallbladder flush. The one that I talk about is by Andreas Moritz. I've done a video on it, so if you guys want to know more about that, check that video out. But vitalizing the liver will actually indirectly affect your mental state. I know that we're not taught that that makes sense and that it's connected. When you look at the body as several different organisms that work synergistically together, it makes sense that if you affect the toe, you could do something to the toe that could affect your pinky. Like, our body is all one piece, even though we are kind of taught that we're like a car and we got the engine and we got the, brake system, et cetera, et cetera. That's not how we actually operate. So learn more about the body. If this doesn't really make sense to you, I've got a ton of videos, right, where I talk about this stuff. But it makes sense to vitalize the organs, especially the liver, to help with mental disorders. So with that being said, you take that route, you get well mentally, and then you start doing the water fasting to kind of help accelerate the process. But believe me, you will be well on your way to healing and becoming a much healthier person overall by just adopting these few little techniques. Just for clarity's sake, just because someone is perceived to be underweight doesn't make them anorexic. That's not what anorexia is. We need to understand the words we're using so that we're conveying our message properly. A lot of times what we're doing is we're confusing physique with health, right? So there are a ton of people out there who physically look a lot better than me but aren't as healthy as me, okay? So you could take a bodybuilder who, works out all the time, physically they look really domineering or whatever it may be, but they die of a heart attack at 55 or 60 years old. Now, I'm not wishing that on anybody, but it happens all the time. People that we perceive as being healthy, because we've taken health and we've put fitness in there, we've put wellness in there, we put everything's in this together. So when you look the part, everyone just assumes everything internally is doing well, but that's just simply not the case. I mean, I remember when I very first started learning about working out the body and stuff like that, and there were guys that would tell me, yeah, man, I eat McDonald's every day, but I got abs because I work on my physique and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, that can't be healthy though. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you have abs, doesn't make you healthy. There's always a friend or family member, somebody telling me, oh yeah, this guy I know, he was a triathlete and he died of a heart attack. It's like, they're always questioning why I do what I do, because they don't see the point. They're like, I know these healthy people, they eat well, they exercise, and they still die, of diseases. They get cancer and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's because there's levels to this, right? There's levels to it. And what you consider health is really just the tip of the iceberg. It's what we perceive as health, especially in America, is not health. It is the furthest thing away from health. And then, when you have somebody like me who's pursuing genuine, true wellness of the entire body, we've got all these skeptics and things. People tell us, oh, you're getting too small. They're trying to discourage us. Oh, you need to stop fasting. Fasting won't hurt you, but having the wrong mental state when you fast could definitely potentially hurt you. So, and I talk about that. I teach about that. So it's important to have the right mental state. It's important to understand fasting, what it does, what you're going to experience. I mean, it's not like just learning how to drive a car, right? I mean, like, this is serious stuff. We see the glamour, we see the big weight loss, and we see the flashy stuff, the people standing in their old jeans and all of these things. And we don't fully grasp what fasting is, how it works, how it affects our body, what the benefits are, how to properly break the fast. I mean, there's so many different aspects of this thing that we're just clueless about. And without having that proper information, then you say ignorant things like, oh, these guys, they're fasting, they're anorexic, they're, bulimic, or whatever you might be saying. And all the while you may be discouraging someone from really vitalizing their bodies and things like that. So you got to be careful with that type of stuff. I've gotten it. So like, I ended up losing 90 pounds. And here's one thing that people they can't seem to grasp. You can always gain the weight back. Like, I'm with you, right? I got down to a certain weight and I was like, man, I don't want to lose any more weight. But because my focus is not weight, it is health, I went ahead, I pushed through it, and I did the 30-day fast after I got to the point where I was like, yo, I'm already too small, because I didn't care. And I ended up losing 90 pounds total, but I gained some of the weight back. I didn't gain it all back, obviously, but I gained some of it back, and I'm still gaining it back as we speak, very slowly, to the point where it's pretty much not at all, because my diet's really well, and that's good. That's what you want. So actually, John and I are going to be experimenting with some things later on this summer as it relates to my physique. So I'm hoping by the end of the year we should have a lot of good information. I actually did a fitness, like a 3-month fitness challenge, maybe a year or two ago, which I did do a video and update on that. But this one's going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to prolong it. This is going to be more of a lifestyle change, whereas before it was just something that I was kind of practicing along the way, and I wanted to get some information out there. So I'm really excited to see and get that information and present that to you all. But you get to a certain point where your body doesn't really allow you to gain fat like you used to, which is a good thing. And so you're forced, if you want the physique, you got to build muscle. You got to do it naturally and healthy. And that's fine. That's okay. Like, you can always gain the weight back. So, when people are like, oh, you're getting too small. No, not really. Like, you may not feel good about your appearance and things, as long as you don't have a mental disorder, like we've been speaking about, it's okay. You'll gain the weight back, and hopefully you'll do it the healthy way this time, so you don't have to go through this process again. We always, our women want to be thick, or, they want to have these curves and everything like that. But there's muscle that will do the same thing that the fat will do. And it'll do it better, and it'll be much healthier for you, and you feel better, and you'll live longer, and you be more vibrant. And there's all these benefits that come along with it. But doing it the other way is early death. And that's not a benefit at all. So fasting is not the same as anorexia. It's not the same as bulimia. It's not the same as any eating disorders. If you see someone who's doing prolonged fasting and you think that they have an eating disorder, you cannot tell just by looking at them. That's ignorance. You need to, if you care or whatever, you need to ask them. You need to talk to them. Maybe not ask them directly, hey, are you anorexic? You just want to, get to know them a little bit. Be like, hey, how do you eat? And da-da-da-da-da. And then you can figure out if they're anorexic or not, maybe. I don't know. But let's just not assume. Anyway, I think I've worn this one out. One of the things I did want to mention is the AHA Fasting Academy has been launched for about a month now, doing fabulous, getting really great feedback. For those of you who are interested in having a deeper understanding of some of the topics I talked about today, I do explain fasting in full detail on the Academy. We're talking A to Z. You have a good understanding of what you're doing, why you're doing it, what are the benefits of it, what to look out for. So it really, really helps to expedite your wellness journey, even if it is for weight loss. Even if it's for weight loss, I will at least promote some of the other ideas, things that you may not have thought of. I mean, super crazy stuff like whitening your teeth. People buy these $200 teeth whitening kits, but you can whiten your teeth by fasting. It's one of the things people just don't pay attention to. It's not a big deal. They're just into the flashy stuff, right? So check out the AHA Fasting Academy. Link will be in the description box for that. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power, and I will see you guys next time.